Detox. I recently got a question about detoxification. Like, what does this mean? If you've purchased my cellular healing blueprint, or if you have been following me, you know that I'm the gut detox coach. And yeah, I teach about detox. You can actually see my sauna right there. Um, and I actually used to, oh my goodness, I've done so much detoxing over the past many, many years. I detoxed my life away, basically. And I still didn't see healing. Now, it does not mean that detoxification doesn't work, doesn't have a place. I'm sure you have seen some people with some crazy stories about what they've detoxed out of their body. But what defines detox? There are a lot of different definitions of detox, and it's not just physical. It's not just what you're taking in and trying to push out. It's also emotional. It can be spiritual. It can be physical, like around you, and it can be inside your body as well. So I just want to break these things down to really explain what detoxification means. And before I even touch on that, I want you to know there's drainage work and there's foundational work to be done, right? And so you want to help your mitochondria. You want to work on the cellular potential essentially of your body. Your body has so many mitochondria. These are the powerhouse of the cell. And so you have more mitochondria than you do cells. So working on this foundation, right, giving your body the right environment, the right light, working on your nervous system, working on your diet, working on hydration. These are all key components to working on your mitochondria, working on your minerals, and then once you get kind of that in a good space, it's not going to be perfect. Perfection does not exist. Then you want to move on to drainage. Drainage is when you have pooping like 2 to 3 times a day, right? When you are peeing regularly, when you are moving your lymphatic system. So that is actual movement of the body. It's not like the heart. It doesn't just pump and move on its own. And then there is sweating, right? So your skin is your biggest organ, and you want to make sure you are sweating through your skin as well. There's also kidney detox, there's cellular detox, there's brain detox. There's so many ways that you can, or drainage rather, I'll say drainage first, ways that you can support those. And then once those pathways are open, you move into detoxification. And this comes before parasite cleansing, and this comes before even detoxing your actual body. And what I mean by that is you want to look at your outside sources, right? Are you in, okay, so emotional. Do you have any emotional baggage, right? Do you have anything spiritual going on, or anything, emotions that you've held on to, traumas that you've had in the past? Like, you really want to work on that. I teach some of these things. I'm not an expert in it, right? But I do give what I believe all the resources in my program for you to have these. One guy I love is Peter Levine. He does some very simple ways of healing trauma. Also, Irene Lyon. She's awesome too. And you'll notice, I don't know about Peter Levine, but Irene Lyon, she does mention that it takes years to heal, and she's still healing. And that's something you just don't want to hear. But if you talk to any health guru, nobody's 100%. Like, you slump down and then you go back up, right? There's something I will be sharing hopefully in July, just some things that I've been dealing with that I'm trying to kind of reset. And this is after having 2 babies. Like, the body is not completely resilient. You have to support it. So I'll talk about that in a later video. But your surroundings is next, right? So like emotional, okay, spiritual. I'm a Christian. I can get into that. But really taking these things, really taking everything you're doing to the Lord, because your body is not your own. So spiritual, emotional, okay? And then physical. So what's around you? Are you surrounded by EMFs? Are you surrounded by bright artificial lights? Are you waking up in the morning with your phone? Are you going to bed with your phone, or bright lights, for instance? Another thing, what are you cooking with? What are you cooking in? What are you breathing in? What are you spraying on your body? What are you rubbing on your body? Putting in your body that could be toxic. We have so many toxic substances, and this is why I really teach about nervous system work and mitochondrial support, because you're just going to keep getting inundated with this. And there are people who say detox, detox, detox. And I think, yeah, like, detoxification has a place, but you don't want to heavy hit your body, especially to start. You want that foundation. And then, like, to do that all the time, I think is just excessive. And I ended up hating myself through it. So food for thought, you could say. Okay, so then you think, okay, like externally, emotionally, mentally, like nervous system component there, spiritually, but then internally. So like I said, we have toxins all around us. They go in our bodies. Glyphosate, different things that you'll find in the soil, different things that you'll find in the air, in the water, like it's everywhere. And there's no such thing as perfect water, perfect fill in the blank. So what do? We do our best and we give ourselves 20% because perfection does not exist and it will never exist. And when you try to be perfect is when you start to fail. There's a lot in this video, but I really want to drive this home. So when we're working on inside, that could be heavy metals, that could be phthalates, that could be plastics, that could be, oh my goodness, so many different things, glyphosate. And so you'll see like zeolites, you'll see, biotoxin binder by Cellcore, or just because I see so many people talking about this, right? You'll see all these different options that can bind to heavy metals, that can bind to different things that don't belong in the body. And parasites are last to purge because they actually clean up toxins, and our bodies are just a toxic sludge, toxic mess. And if you haven't done like colon work, I teach how to help remove things from the colon, and that's later in my program. If you work on that, you're removing old toxic junk, old toxic waste. And so it's really important that, you work from down upward, right? Like if you're trying to detox your lungs, your heart, or your stomach, like you've got to make sure your stools are working, your bowels are moving, and your stool is exiting from your body. I think it was Elvis Presley that had like 25 pounds of stool impacted. And so you're absorbing all these toxins. This is another reason why drainage needs to be open. Drainage pathways need to be open, because when you start to, forget parasites, when you start to get those toxins out, you're also starting to remove parasites. And so you want to make sure your body is ready and able to push out these toxins, and also to bind them, because your body isn't necessarily able to handle all of the influx of toxic junk that is released when you start to mobilize it. So, this is where you can do mucoid plaque cleanses. You can work with suppositories. Suppositories have an excellent way of getting to the body systemically. You can do IV ozone through suppository means. And so suppositories are technically like a step below IV, but IVs can be very expensive. And so this is why I love suppositories too. Just kind of thinking through like detoxification, there are so many different things that you can detox in so many different ways, but you always want to make sure you're binding. And so cleaning up the toxic sludge. And if you've been at this for a long time, like I was, and you're like, nothing's moving the needle, I don't understand why I'm not feeling better. That's because you probably haven't addressed the foundational paths, right? That's where my cellular healing blueprint does come into play. Or you haven't dealt with the emotional side and the trauma side. The body really holds on, like your stomach, right, can hold on to, I think it's like trauma. And so you want to make sure you're working through all these different avenues. And then once you work on detoxification, then you can go to parasite cleansing, and your body's like, yeah, we're ready to remove these, right? We've tackled all these underlying issues. So I hope that makes sense. Just thinking about detox a little bit more, there's bentonite clay, there's zeolites, there's, I'm trying to think of the vitamin C. There's a vitamin C powder, Pectisol, I think, or something like that. But all of these are binders, and they're helping to bind up and move toxins out. And so, I've run the gamut of different detoxification protocols. I've run the gamut of different anti-parasitic protocols. This upcoming July, I'm actually going to do a whole detox of my body and just try and rid my body of some things after having had 2 kids and not really getting the time to purge. So I hope that makes sense. If you guys have any questions about drainage, detox, parasite cleansing, foundational healing, let me know. It's this whole roadmap. And so you've got to start chipping away, right? And you got to start with the foundation like a house and then build up. So that way everything's in place, the structure is strong, the house is built, your body is resilient, and it works as it was intended, as God intended your body to work, right? Your body was meant to heal, but there are emotional blockages, there are physical blockages, there can be toxin blockages, parasite blockages. And so you've got to work through all these different things to get the body running smoothly. So I'm Nicole, I'm the Gut Detox Coach, and I hope that helps you for today.